wasn't too bad down at the bottom here. Now, after I got down about 14 inches, I started hitting more clay. There's actually pretty fair.
Fresh roots, so?
Yeah, 22 inches of fresh roots down.
Yeah.
That's
pretty good already.
That is.
Yeah.
I should remember the planting date here. This had to have been in, I have to look back, I can't remember the day. This is towards the tail end of what planting. Corn.
The roots are about as deep as the corn is tall.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was seeing too. And you know, just looking at it, I mean, it's not all curled up. You know, it's still hanging in there. It obviously could be happier, but it looks pretty good.
Holding on fairly well.
How hard a digging was that, Mark?
It was a little challenging. The top was real dry, and after it stopped being dry, I started hitting more clay. So it was a little challenging. But, I did all right. But what I was noticing while as I was digging is we've still got nice worm pores down deep in this heavy soil. And if you get down in there, I mean, you can see we've still got quite a bit of moisture in that soil. I mean, you can even almost still ribbon it. There's fresh corn root in there, way down in the bottom. I mean, this is really where I think you see the difference in soil quality. You know, when you get those roots going down that deep and get this corn hanging on.
Now, did you ever see the 3-inch pocket knife test when you dig a hole like this, where you push the knife down and then go from the bottom and pull up?
No, well, right there.
Take the pocket knife. Do that. Okay. This soil here, you won't see this happen. Because I know Jim's been no-tilling for a long time. But anything that's been working, you should be able to take that knife now and come right up. That's a drop.
So much for a sharp blade.
Yeah, it's the farmer's knife.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean though. You can find your hard pan.
You can find the hard pan, but these soils are getting so dry right now that it's hard to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I had my little probe out here and was trying to probe, and it's just so dry you can't really probe it very well. So
this is hard.
Hey, but I see a lot of places there's no corn.
Can I try it?
Yeah.
This is way better than a lot.
Yeah, because the amount of rain we've had in the last 3 weeks here. A week and a half ago we had about a 10. We had a little bit before that, but since we've had a good rain, it's probably been almost 4 weeks.
Yeah. We had a couple tenths here and a couple tenths there.
Yeah, you don't know what it
Seems like it goes down.
you know. I just need to put a big Dutchman on that thing instead of a little German guy, I guess.
You gotta pick the right spot.
Yeah, this is one of the fancy compaction testers, and Bruce learned something important at that soil health meeting he went to, that every one of these in America is broken. So just go out in the shop and weld yourself a little T-handle on a piece of rebar or something and sharpen the point up, and you got a pretty good compaction tester.
Don't worry about the dial, just push it in and it goes in easy. You did your job right. And if it doesn't, it's another indicator.
Yeah. But no, I was very impressed. I mean, well, this is impressive, but you know, this had everything that the textbooks say it ought to have, you know. And I think, you know, the other thing you can see, there's quite a bit of residue out here. I was pretty impressed with this too, getting the corn to grow in the lawn.
Well, I was telling them guys, the tall spot there, I actually took on some of the lawn. You can see where the lawn used to be. We know we got rid of some lawn. We got enough to mow around here, but yeah, it comes through pretty good. It's survived quite well. This we actually hit with the VT last fall. Just kind of sized the bed a little bit. Didn't do anything with it this spring, and planted it as it was. The Smallegan was later on, that was, I can't even think of it right now.
Are you using any kind of a heavier cover on this one?
No. The corn that we got, we tried to decide the VT is doing our cutting for us. We're trying to do a better job with the VT versus having the knife rolls, the power it takes to run that. You know, if we're going to come through with the VT to try to size the trash cut and bury it, I think that was kind of our thought. Invest in one or the other. You know, knife rolls look good, but I'm afraid with, you know, just straight in the trash, leaving it such a mat on the ground, then it stays wet, it stays cold. So that's
Down
where.
south, they're saying with the knife rolls, they have a lot of problems if they don't get in with like a BT afterwards, and you get a big rain, that stuff just floats all downstream, and you got all the inlet tiles all plugged up and all that.
There's a lot of variables in knives too.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a lot of them. I mean, those complete chopping
Gearing offs have a pretty good concept of them, but yeah, for size
they
of the
shred
crusher,
it.
you gotta
The
do
deer 612
that. Yeah. They want
is
to notch every inch or so it can open it up.
well, they mow it, and
Yeah.
so you're just lots of
Looks like
horsepower.
you gotta chop it with the
That's
stalk is left.
almost, like I said, that's almost too much.
That's what I
You're
think.
having just knife roll,
But we still like to leave the corn stalk completely cooked so that it doesn't move or blow or float away.
Well, and if it's still standing up, it's not shading, it's not mulching, it's just,
Right.
Yeah.
it's just there.
That's almost too much.
What do you think? You know, I was seeing there's the Chalmer chopping corn head and there's the Chalmer crushing corn head, where you just kind of crush that stalk a little bit.
That's
You
what
still
yours
leave it
is.
in place.
Yeah, I've got the climber crushing stalk rolled on mine.
Okay.
The only reason, one reason I put them on there is because what I had on there was completely junk and I couldn't even pull stuff through, so it was a choice to replace them with OEM parts or go with these crushers. And they're not as aggressive as the knife roll, but they crimp the stalks and everything yet, but the stalk is still all hooked together yet
Okay.
with these crushers. But they are crushed. There are physical lines in the stalk.
Okay. How do you like it?
Oh yeah, I won't. We were talking about a thing about trading combines, going to a different color combine. We're thinking of leaving that head, adapting it to the newer combine.
Kind of, it gets back to that idea of, you know, next year's planting starts with this year's combining. How about seed genetics? What's important for you guys?
Yeah, where'd you go?
Who can comment.
Got our man here.
Gary can tell you everything you need to know about seed.
Well, I know.
You probably shouldn't ask a seed dealer.
No, you're right, Herb. You just tell them what
Always got a
you think.
preference
You're
for what
right.
color the bag
The
is.
new
but-
Pioneer hybrids are really getting hard.
I think you're making it way more drought tolerant. I think
I think some of it, even this, the root mass of the plant show these new hybrids, you know, the root mass they can put out, the strength.
As far as a no-till specific hybrid, there isn't anything that we look for there.
But when you're looking for, when you're balancing traits, what's more important, what's less important?
cold tolerance is more of an issue than anything, and I don't think they're really breeding that into any corn.
There's a difference. There's a difference in
emergence.
in emergence and
That's what we were talking about coming down here. We were talking, all the other parts we do growing corn are easy. It's getting the stand is our hardest part right now.
Getting it out of the ground, that's the whole battle.
What are you putting down for planting populations, and what's your target harvest population?
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm here to make the smart aleck comments. That's my
I like
job.
that we make them up. I planted a lot of about 35-7 this year. So we've run I guess heavier, you know. So
Funny you
keep
bring
pushing it.
it. We was at a weed thing. We keep on. Was you there? We're always talking to a guy from down Hamilton. He was asking us that. We planted quite a bit about 38. Oh, that's way too high. I didn't see no waterways. I think Gary's liking that.
Yeah, Gary likes it.
That sounds good.
Here's a kid.
You know,
I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think people are pushing about so many years ago.
yeah. What's your row space?
30.
30.
What they do is their job.
That was the article I gave you from the No Till magazine. That guy's 65,000, 70,000 for where he's trying to win his corn competition.
Underwater.
I don't. I think he's narrow, so he's probably well under 30, I would guess.
Is that Kip Colors you're talking about?
Yes.
Well,
Francis Childs tried it too. I think he was around 50.
it starts all the way back.
50,000 population, I believe.
He's too lazy. I think they were
Yeah.
He went to 20. But he wasn't necessarily at that when he got the best yields. It was at 30 at 50.
Because aren't they want to start looking at doing like a 5-inch roll apart or something like that, so you can use a regular combine and all that?
That was the twin row.
That's a twin. Yeah, but only 5 inches, but then leave about 20 some in between.
Yeah, so you can still have the control traffic.
Yeah.
Them planners are a mess, so. You ever see one? Oh gosh. Oh man, they're right.
Other questions, fellas? Ladies? Unspecified folks of all kinds. What's the future of no-till, fellas? Where's it going?
Wherever everybody wants it to go.
Well, what's the future of your no-till systems? How about that?
We ain't gonna quit learning, and we ain't gonna quit changing.
Yeah, there's new stuff coming all the time.
We see a lot of farms that went to chisel plow systems back in the late 70s, and they're still stuck in that system today.
Yes, they are. It's full employment for me, so you know it's all right.
But get a little more comfortable with cover crops. You know, I can see more trial in that, but on the heavy clay, it gets pretty scary. You know, to get it killed early up in the spring, like you said, you can about make a few tracks to get the field brown plant time. Cover crops for us on the clay, so to bring more bug issues, cooler soils, wetter. It's a toss-up. You have to try.
I guess the theory about why you guys should be doing cover crops is that green growing plant, you know, 24/7, 365 is feeding that soil life, and that soil life's going to come up here and chew up your residue faster. You know, it's alive, it's moving, it's warm. We've got a big cover crop field day this
You know that
August
you can't
23rd.
no-till alfalfa and alfalfa.
Right there at that wheat plot. I talked Harvey into giving us that for playing with cover crops. And we're going to no-till it all in.
Okay.
We're going to try.
Oh, after we, okay.
After
Red
wheat
is
comes up, yep.
And then hope for some rain.
Anybody else got questions, anything they want to share?
Is there a place for, you talk about no-till, you talk about bench-till and mulch-till, is there a place to do it all? Or does it have to be all no-till, nothing but?
No, you definitely don't need to do all at one time.
No.
See, and I think that's a big mistake people make, is think they want one system and that's it.
That's what I'm hearing, more and more, that you gotta go, but I don't see that working, but a combination might.
There's some of our fields that no-till a lot better than some of the others have. Some of them have taken a lot longer to get them better. You know, the heavier soils take a lot of time, but then they start to mellow out quite significantly too.
The heavy soil do mellow the most.
We got one farm that's heavy blue clay. And when we used to chisel plow stuff too, every time you go out there, it didn't matter if the whole field was dry, and that you go in there, that field would be wet. Turn up that blue clay. We couldn't raise nothing on it. And by the time you hit it about 4 or 5 times with something to make it level the plant, it was bone dry and just marble. Now that area we can probably raise better corn than some of the other areas because it holds that moisture so good. So.
Yeah, it's certainly been interesting as I've started meeting more guys who are pretty gung-ho about no-till. They've all got some kind of vertical tillage now, and they're using it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. How many of you guys are doing any kind of subsoiling or paraplow, any of that kind of stuff?
With Jimmy, not many.
I like to do it on weed stuff.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That's the best time. That's the best time. That's about I can find to do it. Especially it's always wet out here in the fall. It seems like.
Well, that's just it. And I think subsoiling you can get one there that's crazy.
You can make more damage.
Get through that first hard ground.
Especially rocks.
Oh yeah.
Us farmers are getting lazy. We don't like that.
You can't find kids to pick them up.
I can't even find people run skid loader to pick them up.
There you go.
You make something big down.
Rock killing worms.
A rock eating
Why
worm.
do you need loose worms? You need to breed it into the corn.
Dissolve rocks. You tell Gary to work on it.
There you go. Tell DeKalb that.
Yeah, tell Waco. This is what we got for you.
We want corn. Corn or rock decomposing corn.
Cross corn with those triffids from that movie from the 50s that can actually throw the rocks right out of the field.
There you go.
Yeah, and even, you know, I talked a little bit early on about how, you know, I want to talk about soil health, not just about no-till, not just about vertical tillage. The guy I really got to understand agriculture from, Gary Zimmer, runs Midwestern BioAg. He does most of his work with a big tractor-mounted rototiller, but again, he's only tilling that deep. You know, I think there's a lot of different ways to get to that end of a healthy soil that can suck up runoff and, you know, meet the conservation goals I'm supposed to worry about and meet your yield goals and your financial goals. So I think there's a lot of different approaches that can work in this.
Is there a percentage or any kind of a quantifiable way of saying no-till takes off this much amount of runoff on this type of soil, or there's an average, or I mean, have you guys noticed anything?
It's going to vary from soil type to soil type.
Yeah,
There's
you
no
know what?
set.
It's going to vary from year to year.
This year,
I mean, I keep telling people next hour.
Pretty hard to do anything.
Now look what we got.
there's a formula they call Russell II, Revised Universal Soil Loss Equation number 2. The fact that we had to revise it and then revise it again might tell you about how kind of difficult it is to get all of the different factors that go into erosion together. But that said, you can predict to some extent, you know, how a certain soil will perform under a certain amount of rain using those estimates. We're actually, you know, much like, you know, we now have a monitor that'll tell you everything that's wrong with your planter behind you. We're starting to get some of these erosion assessment tools where instead of, you know, averaging a whole field or averaging a part of a field and making a kind of a guess with this Russell II, where we can use a computer to give us basically an erosion potential map, where the computer will go through and run Russell II on 10 by 10 grids all over the field. So it's kind of a long answer for yes, there is a way to predict it, but it's a difficult prediction and there's a lot of factors. And frankly, the way we do it right now, it's a pretty good guess, I would say.
Good guess, an average.
It's an average. You know. I think we can say though that, you know, a soil like this that can suck up a whole lot more water is just going to erode less, you know, and that's also that slaking test. That's why we did that one. I mean, really, when we ran it today in the office, I mean, that soil immediately started falling apart in a big way. The water turned cloudy, and you know, you left it sitting there for about an hour. And
Yes, pretty much crumbled.
It pretty much crumbled, and I think that's still sitting back there. And maybe when we go back for a refill, we'll see if you got an A or an A minus. But you know, I think you did pretty darn well. Looked pretty darn good.